Hi guys, I'm gonna call this things I wish I could tell my mother if I had one more day going through perimenopause. I was 39 years old when my mom died. My mom died at 61 years old. And one of the things we never talked about, menopause. Ever. So I found myself alone when she died. Pretty lonely. You can have your friends, you can have your girlfriends, you can have your sister, you can have your sister in law, you can have your spouse, your partner. But something about when your mother dies hits home. It really does. My mom died in 2019. I wasn't yet 40. I'd say probably the first symptoms that I noticed was like the skin changing on my eyes. That's the only thing I really noticed before she died. I talked to the doctor about it. They told me to talk to a dermatologist. Then the dermatologist told me to talk to an eye surgeon. Sounded like plastic surgery. So I just left it. I didn't go any further. Then comes 2020. My boyfriend's stepfather, he also died January of 2020. So my mom died February of 2019 from lung cancer. His stepfather died January of 2020 from lung cancer. Then after that, we had the pandemic. So, I started to notice stuff. I started to notice it felt off. But like everybody, I figured it's what was going on at the time. I wasn't sure, you know. There always seemed to be some kind of excuse for the way that I felt. So then, after that, I started seeing a lot of symptoms. I had an accident and I had to have hand surgery. And the first surgery, something didn't go well. So I had to have it done again. The second surgery, I wound up being infected with Pseudomonas bacteria. When I got infected, I had to go on antibiotics. The antibiotics I was allergic to, so they put a port in me. Well, for 3 weeks, I put the antibiotics into my port. I had a nursing assistant come. They, you know, checked me out, took my temperature, cleaned stuff like that. Then they turned around and they had said that to watch for an infection. So sure enough, the next day after they said that, or not an infection, excuse me, an allergic reaction. They told me to watch for. So the next day, sure, lo and behold, I wake up freezing, and then hot, and then freezing, and then hot. So I wound up having to go to the hospital, and then they did an EKG, and then they admitted me. The port was probably touching my heart. They wound up having to take that out. And then from there, I had to go see a cardiologist. So, make sure everything was all right. Everything was all right. They did their tests. We talked. They suggested walking every day. I wasn't doing any exercise. So, I figured, okay, I can do that. At least walk every day, if that's going to keep me out of the hospital. Well, shortly after that, it started getting where my legs hurt so bad. They felt so heavy. Oh. Well, I wound up with having bad veins in my legs. And I wound up having to have radio ablation for them. So, 3 veins. Very painful. Very painful. And I was overweight. More than 50 pounds overweight. They had to go into the side of my knee. And I noticed I had a lot of fat on the side of my knee. So, on my second procedure, because they don't do them all in one day, so they did 3 separate procedures. On the second one, I noticed I stopped sleeping. I thought it was the anxiety. I said, okay, well, maybe I was just so anxious. I remember saying to the nurse, I said, wow, this is my last one, the third one. I can't wait till I can start sleeping again. They don't do them, I think it was like week by week. So it had been a couple weeks I had gone with no sleep. I was waking up during the night. Well, the veins in my legs, they did get took care of. They are better. I'm able to walk. Before, I don't know, it felt like I turned 80 overnight. I just couldn't do it. So that was fine. The sleeping never went back to the same. Ever. Ever. Even to this day. I'm still working on it. It's hard. I'm a person that believes trying to heal myself through nutrition, through things I can do first. So that's the route that I'm trying to go. But these are things that I noticed, with the perimenopause, but I didn't know that it was perimenopause. So what happened was my symptoms just kept stacking. It wasn't a gradual thing. It didn't just happen all at once. It did come on all at once. That I'll say. Because then at the same time, I was on Depo for over 5 years. I've been on birth control since I was 15. I just had to change to Depo when I turned 35 because I still smoked. Which I did quit, by the way, in 2021. I quit smoking after everybody in my family's dying of lung cancer. So, I don't know. There was just a feeling of unease, of unwellness, of, I don't know, I just didn't feel right. Nothing felt right, and I couldn't figure it out. And I'd be like, well, maybe it's the stuff that's going on with COVID. It's very stressful. Everybody has stress. So I tell myself, just buckle up. We got to get strong, got to get through this. Then I started feeling like, I don't know. Am I unhappy in my life? I don't understand. Well, like I said, that Depo, it just stopped working, after 5 years. And I had with birth control pills, when they put you on generic, I had the feelings of when your hormones are off. When I was at work, I'd be having a staff meeting and I would be discussing something where I had to maybe tell people how it was, let them know that they're doing a bad job or something like that and try to correct it. And I don't know why, I'd just start crying. Like my eyes would start watering up. It's not me. I am not a crier normally. Not before perimenopause. If you're not in perimenopause yet, just know that's one of the big things for some people. A lot of sadness, a lot of crying, a lot. This is why I miss my mother. My mother was my best friend. I didn't even know it. I thought I had best friends. It was my mother throughout the years. She was the one that I called on the phone and I talked to for hours about what was going on in my life. So, with this perimenopause, there's nobody to talk to. My sister's younger than me by 4 years. And even that, even if she is going through menopause, because herself, she did have a hysterectomy, she doesn't have the same symptoms I do, even if she is going through it. So, there's that. It's hard to try to find somebody to talk to about these things. All right, so I talked to the doctor about the Depo. Well, that was interesting. The first time I mentioned it, the nurse turned around and gave it to me anyways, once a month. They, want you on that once a month thing every month to get it, no matter what. They don't really want you questioning it. They just want you to keep getting it. Mind you, I was on it for about 30 years when I got off of it finally. So I talked to the doctor and I told him how I was feeling. I said, I feel just overly sad or overly mad, and I can even catch myself while I'm so mad. I have the feeling in me and I have where I feel like I need to get it out. But I know it's not right what I'm mad about sometimes. sometimes I know afterwards it's not right what I was mad about, but I got it in me. To me, it was like a testosterone like feeling, I think, I don't know, like pumped up. Like I want to fight the world. Maybe myself. I don't know. So the doctor started doing a checklist. He's got to go off his checklist and check everything. Mind you, I'm about 41 years old at this point. One of the first things that should have been discussed was perimenopause. I actually asked, could this be menopause? No. You don't go into menopause till 51. That's what I was told. Oh, I got 10 years. Okay. So I'm not going to worry about it. He's doing his checklist. Well, they're asking you, do you have depression? Do you have anxiety? And he's letting me know that by the way that I answer these questions, it's going to be whether he can help me or not. So now that's whether this is going to go into a mental health issue, which I'm sure it can portray like that. But when you take all the symptoms and you add them up, if you just take the time, the couple minutes, perimenopause, come on. Well, I don't know whatever came back of that thing. I have no idea. The only thing I was told was we were going to stop birth control. But he seemed to think that by me stopping birth control was going to bring on the onset of all these other symptoms that I'm now experiencing. I really don't think so. No hormone tests, no talk about hormone replacement therapy, just birth control, because they want to use birth control to replace your hormones, which, for all the hell I know, maybe that's my problem. I was on birth control for 30 years. Do my hormones even know how to act anymore? Don't know. Right? So I go to my primary doctor. I make a visit with him to try to see if I can have my hormones checked. Asked me if I seen the OBGYN. Why, yes, I did see the OBGYN. I got no help. And he says, well, I could do these tests, but I'm not an OBGYN. You need to go see an OBGYN. So he does my hormone tests and nothing comes back. Nothing for them to talk to me about. Everything, I guess, was in order. So I turned around and I found, oh, you know what? Let me back it up. That original OBGYN, the first one. I still go to him. He says that we're going to do an ultrasound because I had fibroids before. And we're going to see how that's going, because we're going to see whether or not I can get off the birth control, because that was a big thing for me being on the birth control. Really heavy bleeding and fibroids. So I was trying to stop the fibroids from growing any further. They do the ultrasound. I have no fibroids anymore. The ladies are like, wow. That, it's unheard of that these fibroids just go away. So they're gone. Then they decide to do it's like an endometriatic biopsy or something. They go up into your cervix. I'll tell you what, as a 40-something-year-old woman who never had kids, holy shit, does that hurt. They tell you to take ibuprofen before the procedure. Ibuprofen doesn't do anything at all. The pain was unreal. Try not to jump off that fucking table. Seriously. It hurt so bad. So, he goes ahead and he gets the biopsy. He drops it. Not kidding. So I tell him, because we're checking to make sure it's not cancer, I just tell him, do what you need to do to get the biopsy. I will deal with myself as much as I can to let you get it. So he gets it. Hopefully it was enough. I can't move off the table. I'm in so much pain. Thank God my boyfriend drove me to the appointment. I don't think I would have been able to drive home. At least not for probably about an hour. It took me about 15 minutes to get out of his office, to go into the car, to let Lou know what happened, because I didn't even know what was going to happen. I should have asked, but you know what? Hell, if I would have asked, I never would have did the biopsy. I don't think if somebody truthfully told me how painful that was and that they're not going to give you anything for it to if there's even anything that can make that pain. I mean, honestly, to me, it's something that you should be put under for. That was excruciating. It was horrible. But, all right. Comes back, I don't have cancer. Well, now who am I going to talk to? You know, I've talked to the OBGYN. I've gone nowhere. I've talked to my primary. I've gone nowhere. I don't have other women to talk to because nobody that I know has gone through what I'm going through. At the time, I didn't know what the hell it was. So I look up another OBGYN, right, online. Take my time, do my research. I'm like, oh man, I really hope these people are going to be able to help me. Go into the office, I start talking to them. I tell them my story. I tell them what I had done. I tell them how painful that biopsy was. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. It's the worst thing I've ever had done to me. And I had 3 hand surgeries. 3. So she turns around. What does she suggest? Repeating all the tests that the first OBGYN did. This is a woman. A woman is asking, well, not even asking me, telling me. Because I tell her that I don't want to do it. She doesn't even listen to me. She just schedules it. Go to the big desk, you know, the big desk where there's, 20 people lined around to make their next appointment, their next appointment, their next appointment. They just want to get you on a schedule. You know, it's just in and out, money, 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 no help at all. They don't even want to hear from you. If you just shut up, they'd probably be happy. If you just sit at your appointment and don't say anything, and they could just look at you and walk out of the room after 5 minutes. I don't know. All right, so that didn't work out for me. I called I can't remember. It begins with an E. It's a hormone doctor. Make an appointment. I think I wait about 8 months to get in with this hormone doctor. They deal mostly with like diabetes patients, people like that, and menopause. It did say menopause. It was like an option of like diabetes or menopause. So I talked to these people and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna get my hormones tested. I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm thinking, please, hormone replacement therapy. Let's at least talk about it. Nobody's talked to me about it. So I talked to the lady. She agrees to the hormone testing. She says that's fair. But she tells me that in the end, she can give me gabapentin for sleeping. That should help me asleep. And she suggests I go back on the birth control. She tells me that all these things will just mysteriously disappear if I go back on the birth control. Now remember, this is why I got off the birth control to begin with. So I got no help. She does the testing and sets me up another appointment for 6 months later. So I'm not even going to see her for another 6 months anyways, even no matter what the hormone tests come back and say. All right. Well, my hormone tests come back and my markers were a little bit off. So they say that, they believe this is the start of menopause, which I already know that. This is perimenopause. This is perimenopause. This is what perimenopause looks like. Just so you know, when I'm talking to these nurses at the doctor's offices and I'm trying to schedule my appointments, I'm telling some of the women what I got going on. You know what they're saying? They're saying, me too. I'm feeling the same thing. They also have periods twice a month. They have also experienced heavier periods, longer periods. What do? I don't know. Nobody's ever given me any advice. I make it my mission. Anytime I meet women and I'm able to, I try to talk to them about it and I try to ask them, you know, just somehow bring up about hot flashes and feeling hot and just waiting for like a Me Too moment and just a connection, you know, because mostly that's what makes this so lonely. You feel like you're going through it by yourself because you are. You are. Nobody else is going through the same life experience as you. Nobody understands the things that you understand or know the things that you know or see things through your eyes like you see things. It doesn't work that way. I really wish that there was a community where women got together and we talk about this stuff. We stop trying to hide it. We stop trying to say, I'm strong and I don't need to talk about this. I don't have children of my own. I do have nieces. These children have begun having children. You know, so now I have grand nephew. It's important for them. It's important for my nieces who in about 10 years are going to start to experience perimenopause. They're going to go through these same things that me and you, your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, everybody went through. They're going to walk the same lonely path that you walked, that I'm walking, that our mothers and grandmothers walked, if we don't change this now. I'm creating It's Our Turn Menopause to try to create an open dialogue between regular people. Not celebrities, you know, that are just trying to cash in on the trend. There's no substance to what they're saying. There's nothing new. They're not teaching us anything. I understand they're getting it out there to talk about it, yes. But time is of the essence. The weeks are going by. The months are going by. The years are going by. This isn't getting better. We're not getting anywhere with this. We're kind of just, you know, boiling with it, right? We really need to get some momentum, to get some movement. I'm working on creating a book to detail what I'm going through and things that I find useful and helpful so that other people can read it, can think for themselves, can research, can talk to their doctors, and can try different things and see what works for them. This is important. Some of us, we don't have other people to talk to. This online community is the community to talk to. So as women, we need to be bold. We need to look out, and even when you walk down the street, people, they look at the ground. They're not even looking at you. I want to look women in the eye and say, I see you. Hi. You matter. What you have to say matters. How you feel matters to me. It does. And I really hope that how I feel matters to somebody else too. That somebody would want to give me good advice. To give me good advice, to be a good person. That's what we used to do. You know? We used to hand down our knowledge. There's a reason that we grow old. We're supposed to grow wiser. We're supposed to help the next generation. This is important. So, since I do not have my mother around anymore to talk to, I think we're going to start calling some of these things that I would tell my mother if I had a chance. Because this is the way I would talk to my mother before. You know, just a normal person, just a normal girl, 44 years old, going through perimenopause, without a mom, and just looking for some sisterhood, for us to come together and say, hey, I see you, you matter, and you know what? Here's a tip, you know? Try some magnesium before you go to sleep and see if that helps you. It does, by the way. It has helped me. taking magnesium. It doesn't solve it. It doesn't. I haven't found anything to solve any of this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this. But I'm working on it. I'm writing it down. I'm checking and seeing. I'm checking with other people. So, if you like my videos, please like, subscribe, follow, share, especially with other women. Share. We need to share. We need to become more caring, more sharing, more loving. We'll get through this together. So, if you have any suggestions, leave me a comment. If you have something that you'd like me to talk about, leave me a comment. I really am going to work my hardest to keep up on this and to keep posting and to keep trying to get women to come together and say, hey, I see you, and here's some information. Here's some helpful tips. Let's make this easier on everybody. My story is not unique. There's other people that have stories like mine. I just need to connect with you guys, and we all can connect together, and we all can help each other. All right, so I talk to you later.